Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on when you're tuning in. My name is Jonathan Torres-Herrera, and you are watching the JTH show. Today, we're going to discuss the importance of training your team. But first, roll the intro. All right, that thing always gets me going. Here we go. So today, let's talk about the education of your team. Training is something that, in my opinion, is it doesn't ever end. It's something that should always continue going, especially when you work in a high production environment. This topic I've been having a little bit of an issue with because it's such a personal topic for me. It may not sound like a lot. It may sound like, hey, what are you talking about? Training? Is that what you're talking about, JT? Training your team and doing their job? Yes. Now, it's such a close-hearted topic because I have experienced firsthand good employees that have been released from their jobs or have quit out of the frustration of feeling that they don't know how to do their job properly. And me witnessing this many times, I've been in the position where I'm like, man, that person should have been fired or that person shouldn't have left, man. It's all because, and it comes down to the training. That's what I came down to so many times when I saw unfortunate events play out, right? Because of the education, the lack thereof, at least, of training, of education, of the job. And the video that that we're going to go into here is mainly geared to those current leaders, whether you're a lead, a manager, a supervisor, a director. I've been in pretty much all those positions, and I take this to heart. I practice what I preach, and I hope that whoever hears this, if you're thinking of going into leadership or you are in leadership, you take it serious, because you are essentially someone that, if you take this lightly and you don't feel that this really is something that you need to involve yourself heavily in, you are essentially poisoning people to fail, because they at one point or another will get frustrated with their job, especially if you're in a high production environment or in an industry that has a lot of changes every year. Okay, so I might rant a little bit. I hope not. I'm going to try to stay on track. As always, I have my my notes here to help me in that, and I have my live audience, aka my wife, to keep me on track. She sends gang signs at me, telling me to stop every time I get off track. So if I ran, I apologize. But it's a topic that is that I feel passionate about. Okay, so to start off, there are three major components, the building blocks, if you may, that I have assessed that are important for someone that is in charge of the education of a team to really understand. And that is the culture, the lesson, and the delivery. So think back when you were in school. All right, as an example, you maybe had a teacher that was great. You appreciated him or her. You really kind of liked their style of teaching, but the material just didn't stick to you for some reason. Now, a lot of the times, and I know this because, my wife homeschools, and we have another small channel called THN, the Homeschool Nation channel. And I've learned a lot from, as far as how sometimes the curriculum, the lesson plan, if you may, is built by other people, and neither sometimes the teacher or the students really appreciate the material, or maybe sometimes don't even really understand the material. So, it's not always the teacher, right? So anyways, back to the example, you have a good teacher, if you can think back to a teacher you liked, the lesson plan didn't stick, and for that matter, the school was it was okay. Okay. So those are the building blocks, right, of education. A good environment, the culture, a good lesson, and then the delivery, right? The delivery is obviously the teacher who's injecting all this lesson education. So those are the building blocks for what I'm about to get into, the 4 pointers that I have for you guys for today. It is my belief that you as a leader and your team is only going to be as strong as the weakest member. Now, I don't like to say weakest and make it sound demeaning or something, because it's not. If there's someone that is maybe not up to par with the rest of the teams, it is our job as leaders to get them there. Yeah. So, I don't want anybody to feel like, oh, the weakest, and oh, wow, then that guy should be fired, or that girl should be fired, or whatever. I'm just, I'm going to try to give you perspective here. Okay. So you're only as good as that person, right, that is not performing like the rest of the team. So if you have those weak spots, and you feel that you're running full speed, you're not. Okay. You got to get those people up to speed. And it's my belief that as a leader, that is actually your obligation to be a successful leader. Okay. So let's move on. So let's get into the 4 tips that I can give any leader, future leader that is hearing me right now, that have worked for me as always. Number 1, teach, don't preach. This one's big for me. I've been in many different companies, and everybody has a cool slogan. Everybody has a cool saying, a company saying that everybody says, and you can hear everybody regurgitate it all around, right? Everybody's saying it all the time. You're like, okay, I guess this is like someone said it maybe probably 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, and it's just everybody's all, hey, do you even know what that means, by the way? Hey, Bob, what does that mean? I don't know, man. I don't know. But blah, blah, blah. And I'm trying to think of the stuff that I've heard. And a lot of the time it's just cliche stuff, right? Like teamwork makes the dream work, or the dream work, I'm sorry. And it's like, okay, Bob, teamwork makes the dream work. You just said yesterday you hate the fucking team. What are you talking about, Bob? There is no Bob, guys. I don't want you to feel like, who is Bob? There is no Bob. I'm just giving you an example. Stay focused, okay? Teach, don't preach. What does this mean? For me, what it means is that I have a weekly agenda, a planner that I use to write notes from the previous week, the stuff that I want to revise. Sometimes I don't get to it that week. We all get a little bit overwhelmed. There's a lot of things going on, more than just, training, unless that is your position, is to train. So sometimes, it's hard, especially if you're in a company that you wear many hats. However, this doesn't free you from any obligation. This doesn't, you're not an exemption. Here, you need to put together some thoughtful stuff so that next week you can actually teach it. Don't just go out there and preach. Also something I've done, and I have fallen on my face flat, and it hurts. So teach, don't preach. All right. Let's go to the next point on here, which is inspect what you expect. Okay. One more time. Inspect what you expect. What does that mean, JT? What that means is that you personally make it a point of QAing your teammates' work. You are out there. I'm not saying you make that your sole job. I'm not saying that's what you spend your 8 to 9 hours you're at work, maybe more. What I'm saying is that you are hands-on. See, my big belief is that you can't pass on information, right, or coaching points to your team solely based on secondhand information. I used to work at a company where you had a manager, you had a supervisor, and then you had this QA person. And that person always went out and did their QA. That was their job. And passed on the QA information to a manager. Now, you would think that is the perfect world. Hey, everybody has their job. The thing is that you would have, back to the whole first pointer, with the person preaching instead of teaching, you had a manager that would rant off and rant, right? And had like all these cool sayings. And you would bring up something to the individual, and you would say, well, what about this? I'm in the field, so I see this. And yes, I'm referring back to my cable days again. I used to I used to laugh because the manager would be like, oh, well, when did that change? It's like, yeah, dude, that just changed. We just got information from, maybe a supervisor or other technicians that we're not doing this anymore. Didn't your QA person tell you? Well, you can argue, well, maybe there's just that company, JT. I don't know, man. I've seen it, and I've heard it from other friends and other industries, right? So if you don't inspect things yourself once in a while, how can you expect anything that you're demanding from the individual over and over? Whether you're sending out memos, emails, or whatever, maybe sending out your supervisor to go and talk to certain employees. How can you inspect something that you have no idea because you haven't inspected yourself? Personally speaking, it's hypocritical, but it's my opinion. I've been there. Lesson number 3, innovate your lessons. Oh my God, this is huge. I hope there's going to be a lot of people right now giving me a like on this video because you're going to realize that you've been trained with outdated information. This is huge, even in education. We were just talking about this a couple of days ago with my wife and my daughter, and we find out, man, yeah, I'm telling them the issues that I'm going to talk about, and my daughter's like nodding her head. I'm like, what are you nodding? It's not like you don't work. You're 12 years old. What are you talking about? Like, you acting like you've been out there. She's like, no, that's actually the same thing in school, Dad. I'm like, what? So what I'm talking about is, a person presents something, right? Let's just say a PowerPoint, all right? Or training materials on paper. They pass it around. Everybody gets one. Everybody's reading it. Ignore section 4 to 8. And tear out the last page. And you're like, well, so just this top part? Yeah, everything else from other years. What are you doing? What are you doing? Or in the PowerPoint, we're going to skip this one. Or even better yet, when they have information that someone else put together, which is number 4 right now. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So, innovate your lessons. Stay up to date. You're the manager, the supervisor, the lead. You might argue and say, well, JT, I am a supervisor and example at Starbucks. That comes from corporate. And I'm bringing up Starbucks because I have a buddy of mine who works at a corporate store, not Starbucks. And they're like, hey, in the cell phone industry, Jonathan, you don't understand. We might have or work the franchise, but really a lot of it comes from center, right? Whatever they call them, corporate, whatever. There's nothing we can do there. Well, yes and no. One, are you pushing back on saying, hey, this is outdated, dude? Whoever's giving me this is outdated. No. I'm not going to present this as junk. And if you're the one responsible for putting stuff together, how often do you go back and see your lesson plans? How often do you go back and you're like, whoa, hold on. This is like from 3 years ago. This doesn't apply. I'm going to take this out. If you're printing the stuff out that is outdated, first of all, that's wrong. You're killing trees. That's just wrong. I'm not trying to be a crazy environmentalist here, but come on now. Yeah, I've seen papers like, scratch paper. Jesus, how much scratch paper are you going to give out? So innovate your lessons. Keep up to date with your industry's best use and practice, information that you see, that you hear. Be relevant. Number 4, present yourself. This is huge. When I innovate my lessons, when I come up with my stuff, right? When I inspect what I expect, what I do is I go ahead and make it a point of presenting the material, the fresh, new material first. Then if I have to have a supervisor, maybe run another class for people that were absent, he or she already saw me. This is very true right now. I present first. Now, there are times where you feel you have someone that you work alongside, a supervisor. If you're a manager and you have your supervisors, or if you're a supervisor and you have your leads, someone that works alongside you that maybe you're grooming and you feel confident, let them put it together. Because here's the thing. If you put in the brain power, I hope you're also putting an equal amount of thought into how it's going to be presented. Presented. What I was saying earlier, I hated when I saw people present something and they're lost. Because I am the student, right? And I'm sitting there, and half of it is, if that, is good material, and the other half is the presenter just, wait, what do I say? Oh, I don't know what this means. We're going to skip this. It makes me want to pull my hair out. Like, come on. If the presentation was already going to be 20 minutes, and if you're going to stick to 20 minutes, that means I only got 5 to 10 minutes of useful information, and the other 10 is nasty garbage. It's just gross. That's a problem, guys. It's a problem. My wife is laughing at me because I've been using words like gross and rip because I'm trying not to cuss a lot. Someone told me that I do it too much. It's who I am, but, I also know people, watch these videos with maybe their kids around, and I'm trying to be respectful. I have kids too. Not that I don't cuss. I cuss, but I'm trying to be respectful for you, so you're welcome. Anyways, let's go again through it, yeah? Number 1? What was number 1? You know your name. Teach, don't preach. Okay? Inspect what you expect, innovate your lessons, and present yourself. At the end of this conversation, there's going to be a test that's going to be sent to you. I want you to fill that out. Look at you, panicked. You panicked. They panicked. They panicked. You're like, oh my God. Don't go back, cheater. Please, guys, trust me. This is personal for me, and I'm getting a little excited because I've been given all these scenarios. They're almost like from my life, book. Where later on, we'll have a manager or someone come out. Why are we not doing this correctly? Blah blah blah. And it's like, dude, we never even talked about that. And then they're looking at each other like, Bob, you didn't tell them, Bob. Poor Bob is like, All right, Bob's going to do it, okay? We're going to be fine. I can't say I have never done it, but I'm making fun of myself because I have, right? And I've learned from my lessons. I've learned from doing beep, stuff like that, all right? That are just like horrible, just stuff like that. Just beat myself again. Okay, guys, that is it for today. It is a short video. However, before I go, I have a little note for myself here. I want to put out a formal invitation for anybody that's willing to call into the show. We'll arrange something. You can DM me. You can leave in the comment section your information or tell me to reach out to you somehow. Email me. Google is your best friend. Okay. There is Jonathan at Torres-Herrera.com. You can email me. It's a public email. You can call my work line, which is a 619-209-7764. That will be directed to my actual number. It's a Google number, but it'll be directed to my real number. I'll answer the phone. If you are interested in either calling in to do a show to talk about your management skills that you either want to pass on to other managers, supervisors, future leaders, or if you are someone that you're thinking of going into management. Now, my show is not necessarily, by the way, another business talk show. I love business. I have done a lot better for myself in business to this day than just as an employee. It doesn't mean you can't do both, by the way. That's another thing that I want to start teaching people. Just because you're an entrepreneur, right? You have a small business. It doesn't mean that you can't also be an employee. Take it from me. You can do both, and you can do quite well for yourself. Just, if you play your cards right, you can do both if you have the bandwidth, right? Does it take a lot to run a business? Yes. Does it take a lot to be an employee? I'm sorry. Yes, of course it does. But if you have a way to manage both, you can do both, and you can make good money for yourself. You can have a good future for yourself. Okay, so I want to go ahead. What was that? Yes, I want to invite. Yes, I'm inviting people to either, again, call in or even, depending on the circumstance, maybe even come in if we know each other like that. If not, calling in is enough, okay? And then to finish the whole thing, I'm trying to rewind myself here, my thought. The show that I'm building here is also on life lessons, right? And it's stuff that has worked out great for me. And things that have also not worked out so great for me. That's why I don't call it anything like the JTH show business talk or JTH show, parenting. I feel that there's a lot of avenues that I am doing well for myself, and I want to pass that information on to people for free. Unlike other, gurus out there, I don't want to sell you anything. I don't need your money. There's not going to be a landing page. I always say it. I really just want to pass this along to people because I feel that there is already enough people trying to sell you shit all the time. That most of it doesn't even work. I can tell you from firsthand experience, I've bought stuff that I'm like, damn, no wonder it said no refunds. And it's a shame. And I want to pass along whatever I know, whatever I've learned, even from those programs right here. Here you go. Why? Because we're in an age where I believe that while there is some education that you need to pay for, right? Maybe there is consulting hours like from Warren Buffett, major players out there, right? Big names out there. If you got to meet Bill Gates or something, people that clearly you can tell they've done something great with their lives. And they're like, hey, I can give you consultation time. It's going to take, I'm going to charge you maybe $10K, $5K. And if you have the money, you might want to pay for that because of who we're talking about, right? The Warren Buffetts of the world, the Bill Gates, or whoever you think is up there and they've clearly made it, and they can, just for their knowledge to talk to them, it's worth it. But other than that, there are so many goddamn gurus out there. $99 a month. That's all I need. Credit card or check. And you're like, damn. And that's how I felt before with some people. And I'm not here for that shit. I want to give you whatever I know. If it's useful for you, congratulations. We can be best friends. If not, if you're like, JT, you're telling me I already know. Okay, then we can still be friends. You don't have to be mean. Guys, that's it for today. If there's anything else that I can actually improve on, or anything you don't like, you do like, leave it in the comments down below. You're not going to hurt my feelings. Okay? I'm not going to cry or anything. Like, subscribe, leave a like, ring the notification. Did I forget anything? No? Maybe. Doesn't matter. Okay, guys. See ya.